Hello and welcome to the Empower Couples podcast, where here you get modern, non-boring relationship advice for you and your partner to communicate like pros, fight smarter, and stay on the same team no matter the challenge that you face. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Freeman.
And I'm Jocelyn Freeman, but you all just know us as the Freemans.
And this episode is about developing these 4 crucial and unexpected traits to be a consistently great partner.
And I really wanted to have the word unexpected in this title because
we got it in there.
Yeah, as we were writing out these traits, I really was like, these really aren't the normal ones you'd think of. Funny, hardworking, trustworthy, reliable. We've talked about reliability on many podcast episodes. You know that's key. But actually, I think the ones we're going to go into, you wouldn't think of top of mind. Mm-hmm. And we also use the word in the title, develop these traits, because it is something you cultivate, you practice, you put attention on developing. Personality or who you think you are as a person.
Wow.
Right? Okay.
So many good things in there already.
It isn't something that is cemented in stone, that is fixed. There's a book called Personality Isn't Permanent. And it's really true that, sure, there might be certain things that are tendencies. For example, I'm not like the funniest person ever, and that's something I've accepted about myself. Like, I don't just like default to jokes or humor, but I can practice being lighthearted and playful, and by bringing attention to that. So these traits are things that you can practice, bring habit to, and bring attention to, develop them.
Yeah. Well, even before we get into this, because, we take these deep, and it does mean that it takes practice. It takes some attention, as you just said. And it just takes more than listening to one podcast, for example. This is going to be awesome. But if you really want to develop these, then, for example, this week, coming up in, I think when this releases, it'll be 3 days, on March 30th, we're doing a live web class on a topic we never have before. And that is about identifying root causes of conflicts.
Yep.
Because how else are you going to overcome them or repair them if you don't actually get to the root cause? So this is going to be amazing. So even before we get started, click on the link in the show notes. You can also go to onlinecouplesworkshops.com/root cause and get registered. It's free. It's going to be 1 hour. It's going to be awesome.
One of the best I think we'll have ever taught. The content is something every couple needs to realize can happen within your relationship, and it's going to have so much make sense within your relationship. Oh, okay, now I get why that pattern keeps happening. So yeah, it's a must attend.
Very excited about that. And if you're in a place where you're needing repair, and now we'll put another link where you can still get access to the Making Up and Moving Forward guide. I think we have over 1,000 couples that have gotten this already.
Let's go.
The messages we get about, wow, based on what we now did from this guide, we've actually never repaired before. And this is bringing true repair to conflicts, to arguments, things that come up now from the past. It is creating a clearing, a new space in your relationship.
Yes, I love that.
I'm already fired up. It's not even what this...
in the
and
main
that's going to be in the
content.
show notes too, the Making Up and Moving Forward guide. But let's get into these traits, right? Because this is what this podcast is about.
Yeah, being a great partner, which is what we all want to be. So the first one is to actually be able to bring meaning to the mundane. Now, what do we mean by that, right? Bringing meaning to the mundane. Well, life is inherently full of a lot of predictable tasks, right? I mean, once you get past the stage of like dating and then engage and you're planning the wedding, and then, we waited a while to start a family. So some people start a family within a few years of being together. We actually waited almost 7 years of being married before having our baby girl. But that's an exciting stage too. So it got, life was really exciting, this newborn. So you're going to have these bursts of where things are fresh and new and different. Maybe when you become empty nesters, it's like, oh, this is new, this is different.
I wouldn't say that usually is
That's true.
A burst of enthusiasm and
true.
excitement. Yes, a new season.
That's true.
It's usually slightly different, but
what
your
I was
point
getting
holds
at.
true. Yes, you're going to have circumstantial seasons that kind of usher in just a different season.
Yes.
But the majority of your life is managing the tasks for things to function and work.
Which means you're going to wake up, and then there's going to be the stuff you normally do in the morning. Then there's going to be the afternoon, then your nighttime routine, then it's sleep, and it's the whole thing over and over again. Again, you might have exciting events here and there. You make plans, and it's like, ooh, this is new and different. But what we're getting at is you're going to have most of life be full of the mundane, the same day-to-day things that are going on. But a great partner can bring meaning to those moments, which to me means I was trying to describe this to Aaron before we were recording, and it's to me the ability to like generate an experience, to generate a certain energy and attitude within it, which is something I'd say I've really developed because
I agree.
it's something, and it's not something I was born with. I really did have to develop this way of, okay, I'm going to wake up and okay, I'm making breakfast again, and I'm having coffee again, and Sky and I were playing on the ground again, and then Aaron and I are talking again. But no, it's bringing meaning to it. Okay, wow, how can I like treat this moment as if I don't know that it's guaranteed another week? And I know that can be kind of a cliche that people talk about, like live today as if it's your last, but at least creating some energy, like being an alive person, right? And not just having it be robotic and that you're barely there, because a lot of people do life on autopilot. And it's like it flashes by and you're like, another year is gone. Anyway, Aaron, I want to hear what you would say about this point.
Well, the energy, the attitude, it is maybe spontaneity, variety, freshness, vitality. You may have already said aliveness. You just have to bump yourself up from just basically, I wouldn't say being boring.
We're not trying to call you a boring person.
But that can be the sense that it's the same. And, I'm a routine guy. I really am. And I think things work. We have everything we do is to a calendar. A lot of people think that structure limits the creativity, the spontaneity, and that's just false overall. Like structure actually is freedom. And I think a lot of people need to check in on that. Maybe you have a mixed idea about what freedom is, because that just leads to chaos. It leads to things just constantly being unknown. And I mean, I know for us, like sleep with a little baby, like you need the structure. I don't care about what you think about spontaneity or what you think about, just being in the moment. Hey, look, our baby slept through the night by 4 months because we had structure. I'm so thankful for that. That structure gives us freedom in the mornings, in the evenings. We have it together. We can do whatever we want. That's freedom to me. So now I'm getting off a little bit topic, but it's like, yeah, you're going to be doing the majority of your life the same things over and over again. So you have to generate a certain attitude of playfulness or
joy,
happiness,
yes.
Presence.
Oh,
wow, look
right
at that.
There, yes.
Whatever it is, we're not here to tell you what it is. You got to bump it up from the mundane, from the boring,
being a boring
from
human being,
just the doing it over and over again, and it does lead you to a certain place of autopilot.
Yeah, so that's a great point. And the second one you came up with, Aaron, and I'm really excited to hear you introduce this one.
Oh, actually, it links to this one, and we didn't even mean to do this, but the trait is you have to move from compulsion to conscious choice. Now, when I think about what we just talked about, the mundane part of life, your brain, in a sense, seeks for those ways of living
things.
Because then you don't have to think about it so much, and it doesn't take as much energy. So your brain can technically save or reserve energy. But I mean, I'm getting a little off topic too, but it's like, though your brain is seeking for that, think about what that energy is like in your body. Even if your brain is conserving energy, your body also feels more like depleted, like it's not generating aliveness. And so it doesn't actually help your body. It helps, your brain itself. But when you get into these places then, and higher emotion comes at you, and it could be from a conflict, an argument, a life challenge, then you're not really thinking through your action, and it comes off as a reaction. So you live compulsively. The emotion hits you, the stimulus, and then you have an automatic, not thought out action. This is just never going to lead you in a good place, because you will either get defensive or go on the attack with your partner. And that's all so that you can protect your own constructed self-image.
That's deep.
Yeah, like you said, personality is impermanent. And so when you get into these heightened emotional states or challenges, you default to this. You wouldn't even think about it as a personality, but it is. It is a
Reactive.
structure
Oh.
for that you just, without thinking, you just react. And then so again, defensiveness, attack, but it's just from that you have a hurt feeling or you have an unknown emotion, maybe
you're
fear.
triggered.
You're triggered. It's scary. And so you just throw out an action to try to diffuse it. Because as you've been even bringing up for us, it's like the majority of your life should be focused on seeking meaning. When you get into challenge or conflict, then your body actually seeks for peace or your body actually seeks to get back in harmony. And that compulsive reaction is the impulse to try to get rid of the feeling. It's just such a poor way to go about it because again, it's not thought through and it usually has a negative impact on your partner. And if you think about it, it probably has a negative impact longer on you because do you make the best decisions compulsively? Whether it was around an investment or dealing with a family member, when you just react, it's just never going to create the outcome that you want for both people.
Right. So moving then to what conscious choice would look like is coming back to that present moment. Who do I want to be? What kind of a person, a partner, a parent do I want to be?
Yeah, you're so right. And I don't want to just cut you off, but I do want to mention because what you need to make a conscious choice is space. Then you can finish what you were saying and then we move to the next one. But yes, sometimes it's the physical space, but why you need the physical space is because the actual space you need to create is the space between your feeling of the emotion and the action you take. So that's fundamentally the space that you need to create. It's that you need space between the moment you feel emotion and then when you act. And again, that might take you requesting, hey, I'm going to need a pause here. We call this just the time to emotionally process. But you just have to think through that. I am not the emotion that I'm feeling. And I need to think about either where this is coming from or ideally, what is my commitment? So we've said this a few times now recently, you don't want to act from your feeling, you want to act from your commitment. And that's the big difference between the conscious choice. I need space from what I'm feeling to think through it, process it, and say, well, what am I actually committed to? And that's going to bring about an array of possible now actions for me to take and to test in a way to see if I can get the outcome I'm looking for.
To add on to what you just said about space too, I think it's slowing down in life, right? Yeah. Just like the first point that we made, being present in the moment, it's I need to slow down, you said between your feeling and then the action, and bring your conscious awareness to this moment. So much of at least our personal experience within the relationship journey, the marriage journey, has been about becoming a conscious human being. And I'm not trying to at all make anyone feel bad, but we had to have an awakening personally. And some people are literally just walking around half asleep, not just in terms of energy, but literally not conscious. It's like you know that feeling when you're driving somewhere and you like basically blacked out. You were thinking about something else, but you still got there because you knew the path. And that's fine to do when driving to a place you go to all the time. But it's not fine to do that when you're home with your spouse, when you're with your children, with friends. And so it is really about the path to being a conscious, awake, present human being.
Yeah. Which again, summarizing the point to me is it's either compulsive, not thought out, or it's conscious choice.
Yeah. Good point.
Trying to demystify the being a conscious person and what that means. Because to me, that's really fundamentally what it means.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'll have you do this third point, and this trait is such a key one. In short, it's accept the repair attempts of your partner.
Yeah, so you hear us talk a lot about repair within our podcasts, our content, our guides, etc. When your partner comes to you and initiates repair, which ideally they wouldn't have to do 100% of the time. Hopefully you would meet them, maybe not exactly 50-50, but you would step up to the plate and also initiate repair, because it's not fair for that to always be on one person. But when your partner would come to you, do you turn it away or do you turn towards it? And you will only create more hostility and disconnection within your partnership if you constantly are like, no, and I'm not ready to talk, and I'm still mad at you, and I'm going to need more days. And sure, if you need a little more time, that's fine. Communicate to your partner, hey, I'm not quite ready to repair. You know, we talk about not letting that argument hangover last too long. Life is short and precious, and you don't want to let it be days or weeks. But when they come to you, do you accept it? Do you lean into it? Even if you aren't sure what it's going to take to fully feel like you can let go of the energy you're feeling, the emotion, do you at least come to the table and say, okay, let's talk? Now, again, that can feel really intimidating because none of us were taught about how to have a repair conversation. So that's where the Making Up and Moving Forward guide can really simplify it and just give you the steps to follow. But Aaron, do you want to add anything more to the accept the repair attempts?
You just have to repair conflicts. You've heard us say that so often, and there's just no exception. You have to. So then your options really become, well, how long is it going to take you? Mm-hmm. So again, ideally, like the Argument Hangover book, you just shorten the argument hangover period. So repair is just a must. You just have to get there. So why wait so long? Right? And so it's going to be one of you initiating that repair. And again, Making Up and Moving Forward guide, just get that. It gives you the steps. So if your partner's the one coming to you, accept it. They are repairing with you. I don't care how you feel. This goes back to the previous point about compulsion. You're going to have a impulse to not accept because you feel hurt. I don't care. Well,
I want to make sure it's clear.
You need to accept the attempt from your partner, or probably what you're about to say. Sorry if I felt like I was cutting you off again. You have to communicate. You have to accept it in a way that says, hey, I see that attempt. I appreciate you. I'm not quite ready, but you can't just reject it.
I was going to make actually a little bit of a different point. Just to be clear, what Aaron is saying is not if your partner comes to you and says, hey, I'm sorry, can we move on? We're not saying you need to be like, okay, yeah, that's it. All is erased and forgotten and forgiven. And we're not saying that you should just be okay with getting scraps of an apology.
That's true.
But if they're coming to the table genuinely wanting to follow the steps that we teach for repair, to take responsibility, to acknowledge the impact of the actions, to talk about how things are going to be better and different in the future, and they're actually going to have a conversation, that's what we're saying turn towards. It's not just be okay with a measly, I'm sorry, can we move on?
And then just rounding this out, lastly, then you need to initiate also. This doesn't have to always be 50-50, but you're wanting to be a partner that does initiate repair attempts.
Yep.
So on that last point, ideally, your partner, based on this point, is accepting them at the first one. That would be great. Okay, but that might not be the case right out of the gate. So do not only initiate once. And then if they don't accept it, now you're all shut down and you feel rejected and you're not going to repair again. I mean, honestly, just be willing to repair. If it doesn't go right the first time, okay, be willing to repair a second time. Okay, at least a third time. If a third time,
then reach out to us.
Something.
Then say Freeman's red alert, what do we do?
You have something to stand on by, let's say, 3.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the last one, which is curiosity versus rigidity, right? So you can show up in life. It's been kind of a theme throughout today, the episode, as this is who I am, take it or leave it, or this is my perspective on something and I'm not willing to change. This is how I was raised, and so this is how it shall be. So very rigid. Or you can show up in life curious. You can still have beliefs and values and preferences, but can you also be willing to look at things from another perspective, or at least kind of have this mindset of maybe I don't know everything about this. Let me stay curious, even stay curious about your partner, right? Okay, maybe I've been with them for 10 years, 20 years, whatever time frame. Can I still stay curious about how they're feeling in their profession? Can I stay curious about how they're feeling just within their human experience? Can you stay curious about your children too? I mean, that's huge, right? Like to not just see them as, oh, I think I know everything about them. They like video games or they like going and doing this. No, stay curious, which means you will ask questions. You will stay engaged. I think there is a certain experience that it creates within the home to be someone who's curious. And for me, one thing that has really kept me attracted to you, not just physically, but in the sense of, this is a surprise, but in the sense of just always feeling this connection between us, this, I'm eager to talk with you, right? Like you're my best friend, but I'm eager to talk with you. Don't cry. Is that you are such a curious person, even within something like faith, for example, that you grew up in a certain, way, and you went to a Christian high school, and it was like a certain thought process.
Yeah, not just high school.
Yeah.
K through 12.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot. But you stay curious in that area. It's like, okay, let's explore what our relationship with God looks like. And instead of, again, it being rigid, well, this is what I believe. And so this is how it is. And we're like that with every topic, with mindset, with our habits. Hey, are there better habits that would work for us? Like
where we've lived.
Hey, let's try something new.
Let's move to Charlotte.
Yeah,
Let's move back.
Let's move back.
Move to Gilbert.
Across the country, back and forth twice. Yeah. So anyway, anything you want to add about the curiosity versus rigidity?
No, not really. I'll just make one last comment about seeing your partner as not the partner you think they are. Mm-hmm. And it is a hard thing to do. I mean, it goes back to so many points that we have here. It goes back to part of the compulsion. It goes back to part of the mundane. When you do something over and over again and it's with the same person, then you tend to get the idea that you know who they are. And in the beginning, you are wanting to go from what you don't know about someone to what you do want, because that's where you build security and trust. But over time, that actually starts to work in reverse, because then you do get kind of bored. You do know in your mind that if I bring this topic up, here's how they're going to react, because this is how they are. It's just no room for a partner to become a different person, to grow. And we probably don't even do that for ourselves that much, thinking that we're going to grow more in the future than we have in the past, or acknowledging that we can be a different person, and giving that grace to our partners to grow. And then to your point, being curious about the person they are today, and then tomorrow, and then the day after. So
try on these traits that we provided for you. So bringing meaning to the mundane. Can you generate energy even though there's the routine, same old, same old? Can you still bring that little spark and aliveness to your days? The second one being acting from conscious choice versus compulsion. Choosing how you want to act and not just going from emotion to action very quickly. Third would be accepting repair attempts, right? That's pretty simple, pretty clear. Just lean into the conversation of repair. And then lastly, having a curious perspective, a curious way of being, as opposed to being rigid and thinking you know all or have decided, and so you don't need to look at it from another perspective. So we hope that this brought some interesting thoughts to your mind, new actions that you can take, and we'd love to know how you enjoyed this episode if you will message us, and then make sure you're registered for the web class that we have this week. The link is in the show notes. With that, we love you all, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.